That was the crazy thing, because when I then spoke to Jock Brown and I said, I take it my agent spoke to you. He said, well, who's your agent? I said, it's Murdo McKay. He said, no, no, no. He put Brian Gunn forward. And if I had not have made that phone call to my dad, if I'd have trusted my agent at that moment in time, I would not have made this one. This would not have happened. I think what happened was my agent, Murdo McKay at the time, rang me up, and it was 9 o'clock, 8:30 in the morning. And I was in Bradford, and the night before, I had been trying to get myself. I'd been told by Chris Kamara I was allowed to have a free transfer, and the night before I'd spoke to Scarborough and tried to get a move to Scarborough on a free, and the manager wouldn't take me. That morning, the phone rang. Murdo rang me, said, "Oh, would you be interested in a move to Celtic?" And that I think that was because of the link previously with Switzerland and Murdo McLeod. And Murdo had been involved in that squad in 1990 and working with Craig. So the phone call came in. I didn't really trust my agent at the time. I rang my dad and I said, "Dad, do you know anybody at Celtic?" And he said, "Yeah, I know Jock Brown." So Dad got straight on the phone to Jock Brown and said, is there any interest? And Jock said, "Well, let's have a chat." So I then went up to Bradford City's training ground, told the reserve team coach, the first team were in here, told the reserve team coach, a guy called Chris Hutchins, I said, "I need to take my phone with me." It was a Sony Mars Bar. I don't know if you remember those phones, Ian, and it was one of those big, thick, chunky, and he said, "What, you want to run around the training ground with your phone?" I said, "Yeah, I need to." I said, I'm expecting a call and all this. I think I was about 200 or 300 yards into the warm-up. He rang me, flipped the top of the phone up, and he said, "It's Jock Brown here. I've spoken to your dad. We've agreed terms, but do you think you can play an old firm game?" And I said, "Well, I sort of played in, Coventry against Villa. I've played in the Premier League. I'm sure I can handle an old firm game." He said, "Right, get yourself in the car, go and speak to Chris Kamara, make sure he gives you a free transfer. Get in your car. You've got to be here by 5 o'clock this afternoon." So I went back to I rang my wife on the way back to the ground. The Sony Mars Bar again came out. I said to her, I said, "Look, you need to meet me at the ground. I can't really take," I had an old, a 20-year-old BMW car at the time. It was a piece of junk. And I said, "I need the Fiat Uno to get me up to past." And I managed to bump into Chris Kamara, and I said, "Chris, I need to speak to you." And he says, I can't, I haven't got time now, Jonathan. I said, "No, I really do need to speak to you." He said, "All right, come in." I said, "Look, you said I could have a free transfer." And he said, "Yeah." I said, "I've got a club." I said, "Can I go?" He said, "Yeah, no problem." I said, "The thing is, I need the club Bradford to make sure it's sanctioned by 5 o'clock." And he said, "Why?" He says, "Well, we play in Europe next week, the team I'm going to." And he really could not believe at that time that I was trying for Celtic. Even one of my mates said, I think Craig Burley tells a story that people thought I was signing for Stalybridge Celtic, not the actual Celtic. So anyway, he went, and to be fair, Chris spoke to the chairman. Chairman wasn't very happy, but it was a gentleman's word. And I got in the car and drove 3.5 hours and turned up at Parkhead, it was ridiculous, really. That was the crazy thing, because when I then spoke to Jock Brown and I said, I take it my agent spoke to you. He said, "Well, who's your agent?" I said, "It's Murdo McKay." He said, "No, no, no. He put Brian Gunn forward." Ian, if I had not have made that phone call to my dad, if I'd have trusted my agent at that moment in time, I would not have made this one. This would not have happened. And it's when you think about little things like that, you just think, well, my whole life, my family's life just changed, in that moment. If I hadn't have spoken to my father, I think I was a little bit naive, if I'm honest, Ian, as to what I was walking into, because it just landed. I had no time to look at the history of everything that had gone on in the last few years. Obviously, was aware of the rivalry and everything like that, but it was very, very new to me. So I think that kind of helped me in a way, because I was probably a little bit more relaxed. And let's be honest, I wasn't going in there as first choice. I was going in there as probably 2/3. They just needed someone. They needed 3 goalkeepers to make sure that they were okay to go into Europe. So my expectations probably weren't that high. I was just thrilled to be at such a great football club, and I think people's expectations of me, in the football club weren't too high, but I think that changed very, very quickly when I worked with Pete Latcher for the first time, because, I played in the Premier League. You don't play in the Premier League unless you have some kind of ability. And I think then when Pete saw me work and saw my technical ability and probably my personality, and then Vim saw me, I think his first game that he saw me play was in a friendly at home to Roma, which we won 1-0. So that was my kind of initiation into Celtics, as a football club. And from that point, I gained trust very, very quickly. But I think I've got to say at this point, Ian, that a lot of it was down to the dressing room. And you said there was a whole new crew come in. But one of the factors I always remember was Tommy Boyd had been there a while anyway, as captain. And he took me around the dressing room, shook hands with everybody, and every single player wishes you good luck. Some of them don't even know who you are, but that doesn't matter. But it's something that stuck with me even today. We had a new player join us at Auckland, and he's a Uruguayan player, and I think now every time a player walks in the foot, I wish them good luck, because you want people to succeed, and that was the overriding feeling I got the minute I walked into that dressing room. Plus, there were some really strong characters, and as you said, there was a core that had been signed from very, very good football clubs for a lot of money. So there was kind of pressure on them to perform in their own right anyway.